Now we're live. Okay. One moment and I will post the link for everybody and then introduce myself and you.
No worries.
Okay. Come on, Facebook, cooperate now. How have you been doing today?
Good, yeah, good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, just family life today.
Family life today, huh? Today's my FCM life as usual.
Happy second year anniversary to FCM.
Yes, thank you very much. Uh, I wouldn't remember the exact date if it wasn't for Edward. I just knew it was in August. My birthday's in August.
All right, happy birthday for that as well.
Oh, thank you. Okay, here we go. Now I find the... Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Laura Isley coming to you from Full Circle Magic, and I would like to introduce our special Q&A guest this week, Steve Gore. He is a magician and creator from the UK. Say hi, Steve.
Hi, everybody.
The camera will go to you when you're talking, and it'll flip on me when I'm talking. So,
Okay.
first of all, so everybody has a chance to catch up and get linked in and everything, I'd like to ask you to start off with how you got involved in magic and what age and what drew you into it in the first place.
Okay, sure. Well, I probably started out like most people as a small child, probably I don't know 7, 8 years old, watching TV magic. In the UK, Paul Daniels was very big, so I used to watch Paul Daniels on TV and David Copperfield doing his big TV specials. And I sort of was always interested. Had the magic sets, like I suppose most of us, and I suppose dropped off in my early teen years, and probably when I was about 18, 19, picked it up again. I went to an event and there was a magician there, and it sort of sparked my interest again. So dug some things out, joined the local magic circle in about 1992 when I was 20. Yeah, the Bradford Magic Circle, that's where I joined. It's it's had quite its fair share of famous members. Obviously Dynamo, he was a member. Daniel Madison, more recently Pete Turner. So it's had quite a few famous people.
Wow.
Yeah, and as well as the sort of magic, I did musical theatre, acting, singing, dancing in my early teens as well. Picked up a few other skills. I did Barnum. I was the ringmaster in Barnum, so I learned juggling, unicycling, all the circus stuff as well. Yeah. Yeah, and it sort of progressed from there. So I started doing my own shows when I was probably about 20 years old, doing close-up and children's parties and things like that. So I've done it sort of ever since then. So about 22 years now been performing.
Do you ever do any of your juggling or unicycling in your magic shows, or do you?
Yeah, well, not so much the unicycling, but certainly the juggling. I still do kids parties and things like that. So I do juggling generally for the first sort of 20 minutes, and then magic for the next half an hour, that kind of thing. But I also do, close-up stage magic, mentalism, quite a mix.
So you've worked with Greg Wilson on some projects. How did you two get to know each other?
I met Greg probably maybe about 15 years ago. He was at a magic convention in England. myself and my wife were at a restaurant, and we thought, oh, there's Greg Wilson over there because he'd done the lecture, and he was just very friendly. Came over, said hello, and it turned out that where myself and my wife were going to have our honeymoon in Los Angeles was his hometown of Newport Beach. So he said he gave me his card and said, give me a call when you're over there, which we did, and he took us to the Magic Castle, showed us around. So a very hospitable guy.
Wow.
Since then, I've organised some lecture tours for him, so I'm returning the favour. And he's helped me with my latest project, which is just out recently, called the Casino Con. So he's sort of given some input into that.
Okay. Oops. For some reason, my Facebook just went down and said it's not supported by my mobile carrier, and I'm on a PC. So
Right.
let me go on and let you tell us a little bit about how you got into creating magic, and what was the first effect you ever created, and how was your creative process? So there's three questions all in one there.
It was, yeah. I might skip about while I answer them.
Okay.
I think the first effect that I sort of brought to market, if you like, was on the case. Mark Mason of JB Magic was interested in it, and he sort of bought the rights to the effect. And it was basically like describe it as like a Himba glasses case. Some people say it's a bit like a milkman's wallet or something. It like rolls round, does the glasses case. Because my wife is an optician, so these glasses cases came into the shop and thought, well, I must be able to do something with these. So that was my first effect. So generally, just thoughts come to me. I don't like sit down and say, right, I'm now going to create an effect. Just things just pop in. Sometimes when I'm trying to go to sleep at night, an idea will just pop into my head and think, I wonder if that'll work. So that's how my creative process normally happens, and then I'll sit for hours just messing about with paper and prototypes and things like that.
A lot of magicians actually do a reverse
Engineer.
thought process on how they create it. They start out with the end and they go back. Is that kind of how you work when you're in the process of actually creating something?
Yeah, I suppose a lot of it started because I started out doing like most people, doing local club competitions and things like that. So I did a variety of different acts. Each year for club competitions, I'd try and come up with a new routine rather than just doing the same routine each time, which has its pros and its cons. So I like to sort of force myself to try and do new things. So I'd have an idea and a theme, and I'd then try and create effects to sort of fit to the theme. So.
Okay. Well, what was your idea behind the iPhone? How did that all come about?
Again, it was for a competition actor initially. It was like a technology iPhone kind of routine. And the finished product, when it came out, was sort of totally different to the routine I did in the competition. But it was just playing around with the technology available and thinking, I want to do something that's not an app, something that's different, that you can borrow somebody's phone. So that's where trick photography came about. And Russ Stevens of RSVP Magic liked that idea, so he sort of produced it and created the DVD, which is very good.
Yeah, it's really cool to have an iPhone, because you always think they're gonna know that there's an app for this or something. They're gonna know it's rigged because it's on an iPhone.
Yeah.
It's neat to have an effect out there that you can use your iPhone for that's not an app.
Yeah, and it's their phone, so no no, there's nothing dodgy going on.
Right, right. I'm just putting up the link to that YouTube video on that. James Snyder and Matt Chalk and everybody say hello.
Oh,
Frank wants to know, have you ever dug yourself into such a hole you had a very hard time digging your way out? Like as in an embarrassing moment in magic.
not that I can recall.
Oh, come on, we've all had them, haven't we?
Now that I'm pushing, I'm at my second 21st birthday, so I'm 42. My memory isn't as good for certain things, so I tend to block out non-important things. So yeah, I'm not aware of digging myself into a hole, but I'm sure I will have done.
Okay, so no embarrassing stories from you today.
Sorry.
Matt would like to know, what advice would you offer a young creator in the mentalism magic community?
Obviously, do your research. Go see what if you're thinking of a specific effect. Show it to your friends and see if it's already out there. Because 8 times out of 10, it's already been thought of by somebody. Just to make sure that you're not putting a lot of effort into something that's already existing.
True.
Yeah, just spend time with other mentalists, other magicians. Show them it. They'll give you ideas how and sometimes the thing you initially create changes completely just from other people's input, and you think actually that's a lot better. So we're all a lot better when we share ideas and work together.
True. This is very true. That's a good way to look at it, because you may create something and somebody will say, well, if you did this or you added that, and then you go, and then it would rework the whole thing. How do you feel about people who do variations of somebody else's effect? I mean,
Yeah. I think as long as they speak to the original person and get their permission first, it's okay. I don't know if you've seen the Magic Castle routine, for example. One of the opening effects I did do was Tom Stone's hug kill kind of effect, and I've changed the method on how I perform it, and I sort of contacted Tom and said, would you mind if I include this in my lecture? And he said no, but you've got to honour other people's opinions. They create it first. If they say no, then that's their opinion. So, but if they say yes, then that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I have watched that Magic Castle performance. In fact, I'm about to share that with the group. It's a really fantastic performance. How long did it take to become involved in the Magic Castle, and how did you get a spot like that for people aspiring to perform there?
Yeah, well, it's sort of been top of my magical bucket list for quite a few years, and I arrange, like I say, a few magic tours for visiting magicians. One of the people I arranged was John Armstrong, who's the chairman over there. So he sort of put in a good word for me, sent my video into Jack Goldfinger, and yeah, Jack liked it, and then I sort of tweaked a few things together and changed it to try and get it as a whole act rather than just a series of individual effects. Everything kind of links back to everything, so the big reveal at the end links back to all the effects that's gone before.
So it's not just kind of what you know, it's who you know too in the business.
Oh, definitely. Definitely,
yeah. Okay. Let's see. Now, I noticed that you do a lot of performances with your daughter. Can you tell me a little bit about her magic and how you guys work together?
Yeah, sure. She she's just turned 9 years old now. As Deanna, I've got two daughters and a third child on the way as well.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
thank you. Deanna's my eldest. She did her first show when she was 2.5, just at the local Bradford Circle, one of their Christmas shows. It's actually on our website. It's quite cute, if I do say so myself. And from that moment, when people were clapping, you could see a little face light up. When the
Oh,
applause was happening, and you could just see the light in her eyes, and so I've sort of helped her along, various just odd little shows, and it sort of built. So now she's on her own, performing in theatres and things like that. Uh,
oh, really?
yeah, a recent, she does like she done the Northern Magic Circle convention, their gala show. Her latest act is to the Frozen, Let It Go, like
I
everybody's
know I
heard
didn't think I could
a
ever
million
hear that
times.
song again until I watched that video. She's so adorable and she's so good for a child her age. Her face
Yeah,
is impressive.
and she thinks of it all herself as well. I sort of help, put the effects together and sew the costumes and everything, make everything fit. But she came up with the original idea. She had a school talent competition and she wanted to do the Frozen thing for it, and she wanted to do a costume change and snow and ice kind of things. So I helped sort of select the effects for her, but she choreographs her own little moves and dances, so we don't say do this exactly. She'll just freestyle and dance around and do what she likes to do. So there's less pressure on her to
Natural
remember.
talent
Yeah,
going on.
less pressure to remember. I've got to do this move here, this move here. She just sort of freestyles a little bit. Um,
She wins it, huh?
and when she was younger as well, I never sort of forced her to perform or anything. She always wanted to perform with me in shows, so we used to do a few routines together. Um, and I'd always have a plan B, a backup plan, because you can't force a child to go on stage with you. So I'd always have a spare act, if you like, in the wings. So if it came to, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Make Believe Magic, and she says I don't want to go on, I'd always have a plan B. But it never happened. She was always willing to perform. So
That's it. I guess it comes naturally to her with you doing everything growing up, like magic
yeah,
theater, juggling in band. And what instrument do you play?
oh, I don't play any instruments really.
Oh, you just were ringmaster.
Oh yes, I was the ringmaster in Barnum. So I learned unicycling for that and juggling and things like
Oh,
that.
well,
Still
I
walking.
do both. Excuse my little ringy dings from my phone here.
It's
Let
okay.
me volume down because I keep hearing it. I don't know if you can hear it. Oh, and by the way, everyone, I apologize in advance if you hear a dog barking very loudly in the background. The lady that was supposed to watch my little poodle has bailed on me. So, and he's a very noisy little thing if he hears somebody at the door or near the window. So I apologize for that up front.
I've not heard anything.
So, who are your magic idols? Who inspires you from historically or present day?
I sort of have different idols for different genres of magic, I suppose. Like for manipulation, I really love to watch Yu Ho-jin, um, and close up, Shutagawa. Those kind of people, I kind of switch off my magician switch, if you like, and just enjoy being a regular person, because I don't even try to work things out. I just sit and watch and enjoy it. Whereas the majority of people that I do watch, you can't help but thinking, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that move. But with certain people, I just like switch off, and there are two of them. David Copperfield as well for illusions, I think is still very good. Um, uh, Pete Turner's doing very well for himself.
Yeah,
And
very.
it just lives around the corner from me. It lives about 2 minutes walk from my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's quite convenient for
yeah.
two. Should have had him do this Q&A, then you could have both just sat in the same room.
We could have done, yeah.
um,
I believe Pete's in Paris, France at the moment, so
yes, that's true. He's got a consultation going on there.
yeah.
Uh, he's a very demanded person.
Mm.
Uh, do you have any specific tips for someone just starting out in the business, whether it be magic or mentalism, as far as learning the art of magic, you know, not just books or DVDs, but any sort of personal tips that you can give them that will help them better with focus or anything?
Yeah, sure. In the lecture that I give, the title of my lecture is actually called Ramblings from a Suspender of Disbelief. So I use the word ramblings as like an acronym, so each letter stands for a different piece of advice. Ramblings, yeah. So for the letter R, I have remember, it's not about the trick, it's about you and the presentation. An entertaining, funny magician can make a simple trick brilliant, and a dull magician makes an expensive, excellent trick still dull.
Oh.
Letter A, always look your best when performing. Think hot date. So always be as well turned out as you can, as professional, as clean, as fresh and as you can. You know, even down to close-up person, making sure that your fingernails are clean, that you got your aftershave on, a nice suit. Another one for A is always have a plan B, and where necessary, a plan C. Because if you can think where things are going to go wrong, if you can anticipate where things can go wrong, and at least in your mind you've got a backup plan and another backup plan, if it does happen, you're more prepared to deal with it and think, oh, I need to do this quickly. Letter M, merge effects together and be creative. There's a saying, thinking out of the box. And as magicians, we don't even need a box. We should be very creative in our thinking. Letter B, be yourself. You are the best at being you. If you can't be you, be a character. But be Superman and not Clark Kent. L, learn to chatter, not just patter. So if you're doing close-up around a restaurant or anything, don't just launch straight in with your first effect. Just spend a moment saying, how's the evening, how are you? You know, just chat for a moment and then get people to like you as a person, and they're more willing to actually watch your tricks. I, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. That's my favourite quote from Back to the Future. And another I is from Di Vernon or Nate Leipzig. If they like you, they'll like what you do. It's a nice quote. N, never buy a trick without seeing it performed or have it rated by someone that you trust. It's very easy just to see
a lot of money for
just to see a trailer and you think, I like that, I'll buy it, rather than will I actually use it. Being from Yorkshire myself, we're renowned for being tight or economical with our money. So rather than spending it on something that you're not going to use and it's just going to sit in a drawer, I buy things to use them rather than just to collect them. So if I think I'm going to use that in my act or that show or something, then that's fine, obviously. Or sometimes you do buy things because you like it and you think, I will use it eventually. But yeah, sometimes it's easy to see a trailer and think that must be real magic, and when you get it, you think, it's not.
That was, I could have thought of that, or many times I've done that with effects that I've purchased.
Last couple,
I should have thought of that.
the last couple of letters, G, give credit where it's due. Be honourable, and don't use other people's ideas without buying it or checking with them, because they may say yes. And the last letter S, got smile, relax, and enjoy yourself when performing. The audience can tell. And another one for letter S is a quote by Ken Webber from his book Maximum Entertainment, which is a very good book.
Absolutely.
Is strive to do a few things extraordinary well, and not an extraordinary amount of things poorly.
That brings up a fantastic point. People think that they have to pack their show full of effects to be a good magician, and really, if you can overdo it and pack it, you can. Things will go too fast for your audience, and then they're like, "What happened? Just where? When? How? I'm confused." Instead of odd. I really like that. We should type that up and start a thread with that and at FCM and get some input on that as well. You touch on some very strong points. In fact, we could go back actually and touch on each individual point more.
Yeah.
There are a couple of them that I had questions as you were stating them, and I kind of zoned off on it when you got to the next one.
Yeah, I can send it in to you. It's typed up, so.
Yeah, that would be great if you would start a thread with that. That would be wonderful, because it's all very good advice. Actually, you could start individual threads with each one, and you could go on forever with them.
Yeah.
I have another question. Have you ever been surprised by the effect one of your things has had on an audience member, good or bad?
Yes, I think one of the things I did in the Magic Castle routine was an effect of mine called Visions from Vegas. As the book. It's kind of like a new method, I believe, in magic mentalism, so I was very proud when I sort of created it. But yeah, it's such a strong effect. It's the thing that won me the FCM competition with the best audience reaction. So yes, just when the guy I was showing it to, and I turned around the three predicted words, and they all matched, and he was like, "Shut up!"
I saw that. That had to be. I mean, that was well worth winning the prize for it. That was an amazing reaction.
Yeah,
it really was.
Just the look on his face. Yeah.
It was good. Let me put a link to that effect up really quick. I've read a lot of fantastic reviews about that as well. How is your website going with James?
Good, yeah. He's sent through some draft things, and yeah, we've been bouncing a few ideas. So yes, it's in progress. I don't know how long it'll take, but I'll let you know when it's all ready.
To touch on that subject on marketing, what are some good advice that you have for magicians out there just getting going on marketing themselves and spreading the word on themselves, and as well as getting people to view their websites and whatnot?
So not specifically effects. You just not like new products. You just meaning just advertising themselves.
Just in general, how to promote themselves.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, like you say, getting a good website's quite important, and getting it sort of out there with like the likes of Google, and I assume it's the same in America. You have the pay-per-click kind of sponsored listings at the top. So you can spend a little bit of money if you want to sort of get yourself up with regards to clients to find your websites. But Facebook's terrific and it's free. You can pop as much things on there as you like to try and get people interested in you.
Does it help to link to to sponsor, get into a sponsorship program with, for say, a magic online or a magic store like Penguin or iTricks or anything like that? Does it actually, because they're quite expensive, and personally I was curious about whether that was something that would even work.
Right. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with those sponsorship programs, but obviously try all the free stuff first. Spoken like a Yorkshireman. Yeah, and just share it with other magicians and get their feedback, and sometimes they'll say a nice comment, and then you can post their nice comment, and it all helps snowball.
Does it imperative that somebody have their own website?
Say again, sorry?
Is it imperative that you have your own website?
I would say definitely, yeah. I mean, you don't have to spend anything to get a website. You can go to. I did most of my sort of free ones on Wix.com. That's Wix.com. They're quite easy to put together. Just dragging and dropping text and titles and photos. And just get yourself an easy to remember domain name, even if it's just your name. Again, it's only a few pounds or a few dollars for a year to get your own domain name. So yeah, I think it's very important to have a presence on there.
I think domain name is important. Mine is Believe in Magic is the name of my company, which is very close to Make Believe Magic, which is also very close to which is also very close to several other domains with the words Believe and Magic in them.
Right.
So it's a little bit more difficult to market than I thought it would be when I chose the name.
Right.
I thought, well, those are very popular words associated with magic, so it would help when actually it's a little bit of a hindrance with them being such popular words. So what about promoting yourself in your local area? Say you want to get bookings in the area that you're based out of. How would you go about advertising yourself?
I suppose it depends on which market you're wanting to get into. I believe that wedding magic isn't as big in the US as it is in the UK. I mean, we have like wedding fairs that you can go to, with brides and grooms all looking and choosing the various bits for their weddings. You can normally go along to those. I don't think it costs too much money. You have to pay a little bit to attend them, and just give out all your business cards and demo yourself. Sometimes if you're just starting out, it's just doing a few free shows, just to get yourself practiced, and then people say, oh, that was quite good, can you come and do my party? And it's just word of mouth referral, just sort of stems from there.
I always say that on FCM. I think that I'm known for saying referrals, referrals, referrals. It's huge in getting bookings. If I always pass out a contact form for everybody in my audience, and anybody that fills out that form and turns it in, they're fine with you contacting them. Obviously,
yeah,
you can send out email lists and newsletters and all different kinds of things that way. But how about restaurants? How did you spend many years doing? I heard you mention restaurants earlier in what you were talking about, and I was wondering if you had spent many years doing just plain restaurant work?
I've not done any sort of like weekly residentially permanent in restaurants. I've done quite a few sort of one-off restaurant work. I would say if you're doing anything, try and get lots of give outs or effects that use your promotional items. Your business cards. If you're doing children's shows, obviously you can give away presentation things, magic wands, all with your details on. Something I do for the beginning of my close-up set, at every table or every group is Jay Sankey's paper-clipped effect. But I do that with my business card. So I have some special cards printed that are my business card on the back and regular cards on the front, which you can get printed by Bicycle or USPCC. Is like just decks of cards for. So you just upload your business card image, and then they've got like their folded signed card with your business card on the back. So it's something that they're going to keep rather than just a business card, because it reminds them of a magical moment. So that works well for me. But yeah, anything that way you can give things out that they'll keep and remember about a certain effect is, I think, good.
Okay. When do you ever just say, I'm going to go perform tonight, and walk in a restaurant or a pub or a bar and start walking about and just performing, or do you wait for an actual booking?
Myself being Mr. Yorkshireman, I wait for the booking. But if I wanted to try something out, I'd go somewhere and just try, a small group of people if I'm wanting to test something out. Because it's not always good to test new ideas out on a paying job. Or certainly friends and family if you're testing ideas out. But yeah, if you wanted to go to a particular restaurant and you were wanting a residency there, then yes, certainly give them a call and say I'll come in free for an evening and show you the kind of things that I can do and how much business it will generate for you. Because that's the thing, when you're working for businesses in that kind of field, they want to feel like it's not a cost to them to employ you,
Right.
because they're going to get more money off it. People talk about this magician and come and spend more money at the restaurant, at the bar, or wherever, because you're there. So you've got to try and upsell the reason for them employing you, rather than just your fee eating into their budget.
Exactly. I had a one time. I have a Halloween walk around job that I do, but I've never really ever done just plain walk around or street magic work. I started off advertising myself as a children's magician, and my kids being in school, I was able to advertise through the school system and just start doing parties from there. And then when I graduated onto mentalism, I kind of took my contact list with me. But that's one thing I don't have a lot of experience with when people ask about it, is how to just walk up to somebody and start out. So do you have any good lines or tips to have to make somebody stop and watch you, or do you just start performing and hope that passerbys stop?
Like I say, sometimes like I said, learn to chatter, not just patter. It's just sort of talking to them first initially. If you can sort of try and get into their group of people talking, and then launch and say, I'm a magician, can I show you something? To quote David Blaine. What was I going to say? The thing I do with the paper clipped card, I think it's one of Jay Sankey's lines. He says, can I show you the strangest playing card in the whole world? So that's like a leading question. And most people say yes to that, and then you sort of start into your first effect. Before I did that, I used to have a line. I'd say, my name's Steve. I'm the magician here. Can I show you my 2 favorite card tricks? I'll show you my 2nd favorite trick first and my favorite trick second. And if you're saying, can I show you my 2 favorite card tricks? They know it's magic. They know that there's only 2 of them. You're not going to bore them for half an hour. So it's like a limited thing. And then you can always extend into and show them other things. But, just start by saying, I'll show you 2 things.
And let me show you the second one first, and then the first one. Then you've still got them going. Okay, what's next?
Yeah. Show them a good opening effect, and then they'll think, oh, well, if that's his 2nd favorite trick, well, let's see the favorite one.
Right. Okay, that's excellent advice. Do you do a lot of mentalism effects now, not just close-up card tricks, or are you mainly, do you actually keep yourself in a genre?
I try not to stay in a particular genre. I try and keep my fingers in as many pies as I can. I'm like the Visions from Vegas is an effect that's a strong mentalism effect. There's 1 or 2 other ones which are in my lecture as well, but it's quite a range. Like at my lecture, I say there's something for everybody. There's some children's effects, there's some stage effects, there's some close-up effects, there's some mentalism, and all my stuff is easy. There's no, because I'm a strong believer in that the effect is the main thing, and while you're performing, if you're worried about some of the technical aspects of it, it's going to show and it's going to let down your performance. So if you can perform effects that are nice and simple, but with a strong magical impact, then you can relax more as a performer. So all my stuff, there's no fancy moves. It's just like a subtle method, ingenious little method, and there's no moves, so I can relax when I'm performing. And I think that sort of helps and shows in the performance that I'm not worried about any fancy moves. You just remember your little script and go along.
As far as script writing, you said, not just to concentrate on pattern. So where do you learn conversational techniques if you're a shy person?
I suppose just by talking to people. Just even out and about, just try and make conversation with people. Just even if it's talking about the weather, or just going up to strangers and asking them for the time and just starting in a conversation is a good way to sort of get around shyness and get used to talking to people.
Yeah, I can stand up in front of a crowd of people excuse me, when I know that I have a prepared hour I'm about to do. So I can interact with the crowd that way. But for me, just to walk up to somebody that I don't know and start a conversation with them, I'm very withdrawn when it comes to that personally. So that's a hard one for me to overcome. It's kind of weird sitting here talking to you one-on-one, knowing that everybody is looking on, when it's not something that I have preparation for.
Yeah.
I don't. I am very script-oriented because of that.
Yeah.
So
I'm the same, really. It's much easier, like you say, to be on a stage performing, because I've done, like I say, amateur dramatics and theatre kind of stuff. It's easy to be the magician and just be on stage and perform out to everybody. But in a smaller close-up thing or a smaller parlour setting, where it's harder to talk to people. So it is something that you get better with the more you do it.
it can be very intimidating.
Mm,
I know a lot of threads start with how do you get over shyness, and people, their main answer is just get out there and perform and perform and perform.
yeah.
And it's a good answer, but it still doesn't kind of help you get past that stumbling point
Mm.
that that I always seem to fall on, where I'll start blanking like I just did. uh, okay, let me see what we've got here. Um, Besides magic, what else are you passionate about? Obviously,
Um,
family,
yeah,
very
family's a
important.
big thing. Yeah, yeah, family's a big thing. If I'm not, you know, fiddling about with bits of paper or typing something up, I'm spending time with my family because um, I'm like a sort of a part-time, daddy daycare as well. So I've sort of brought my children up as well. My wife's the optician, so she's we have a business together as well. So she works a few days a week. I work a couple of days a week in the shop sometimes, and we've always shared the childcare. So uh, from right from child one, I spent a lot of time with the children. So family's the main thing for me outside magic.
What other outside inspirations do you have that you actually bring into your magic?
Um, I like sort of watching all the films and things like that, and that can give you ideas as well. You know, watching Sherlock Holmes and all the latest films can give you ideas for effects and themes for effects, and um, even like I suppose Back to the Future, time travel. You can weave different themes into, and it can give you ideas for patterns and effects.
Yeah, I noticed you used a Back to the Future quote.
Yeah.
You had started a thread earlier about magic attire
Yes.
and how you thought that we needed to get out of the quote unquote penguin suit kind of uh, era. Uh,
I
but
didn't.
yeah,
Yeah. The
earlier
thread
to
the
make
thread
sure
initially.
you're
Yeah.
dressed well. So do you think that there's uh, a stigma attached to magicians that we need to update, or do you think just still a suit and tie is always the best way to go?
I think it's whatever suits the performer himself. The thread initially, I wasn't necessarily meaning that we shouldn't wear tuxedos or anything, because if you're doing a formal black tie dinner, you kind of need a tuxedo. But it's more in the thread. It was meant to show that you type in magician into Google, and that's what comes up. That's the people's um, um, opinion of what we should look like. And so in our promo kind of photos and things like that, we should try and portray a bit more of a different current image. Um, I remember when Dynamo was, it's like I say, he used to be a member of Bradford Magic Circle. He was practicing a close-up routine before he was famous at my house, and I was saying you need to sort of have an image, not necessarily like you couldn't picture Dynamo in a tuxedo, for example.
Right,
So his, what he's done with his image is very good. Is you know, when he was at my house, he just had like a little ace of spades on a little polo shirt. Um, so he's gone with the ace of spades, and then he went into the baseball caps and his, um, hip hop kind of moves. So he's sort of sharply dressed
right.
for the area that he's in. So yeah, it's looking at where you're used to performing, where you'd like to perform, and I'm a big believer in the old saying that clothes maketh the man or the person. Um, if you're happy and confident in what you're wearing, then it's going to show.
Right. Yeah, I've never been able to. associate grunge looks and magicians in the same context myself. Um, Although I've seen a couple that you know wear the dark makeup and stuff, and that looks great
Yeah.
because it's a character. Um, but if you just look like you said, like dirty under your fingernails and or uh, holes in your jeans or whatever, it doesn't seem to if you're not attractive to what other people see, it doesn't seem like it would no matter what kind of effect you pull out and do, it's gonna keep their attention very long.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to look professional. Like I say, it doesn't mean you have to wear a suit, but you've got to look presentable and look like you've made an effort, I think. Uh, yeah, like you say, what you're wearing doesn't want to detract necessarily people's attention. They
Kind of
want
hard
to
to
remember you.
if you look like the homeless person on the bench to begin with.
Yeah.
You might go, whoa. Uh, Now, you said earlier that you arranged a lot of lecture tours. What got you into doing that for other people, and how many do you do for yourself, and what are those like?
Yeah, they're good. I suppose I initially started doing my own lectures first, and just started emailing around the magic clubs. So I had quite a few contacts with magic clubs, and it was to do with, like I said, Greg Wilson. I should call him Gregory because there's two Greg Wilsons. Gregory Wilson said, well, we wanted to book him for our local Northern Magic Circle convention. So I was thinking, there's no way we can afford Greg's airfare and everything to come over. So maybe I'll arrange a few lectures from different clubs, and it'll help him with the costs. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
And he's passed my name on to quite a few other people. So I've arranged probably about 10 or 12 different international magicians going around the UK. I think I did about 6 or 7 last year.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is there,
And my lectures as well. I've probably done about 20 magic clubs in England. Done the Magic Castle, obviously, when I went over there, and the IBM. So I'd like to get into doing an odd one or two, like in the US, US convention. So that would be an ambition for me.
uh, with the lecture circuit, is there a particular heading that you use for different lectures? Do you have a different format that you use, like a basic, I'm going to talk about this subject at this lecture, and or do you touch on a little bit of everything?
In my lecture personally, you mean?
Yes.
Like I say, I have a mix. So I normally do the same lecture at every club. It's sort of set out, so I know exactly which effects I'll be doing, unless there's a new one come out since previously. But yeah, I have a spread, like I said. So there's some children's close-up stage, mentalism. So there's a bit of something for everybody, and I think that's what people like.
Is there a difference in what effects you choose when you're performing for other magicians as opposed to performing for just laymen?
Yes, I think as a magician, you like to try and fool other magicians, so you try and do extra things that you wouldn't for a layman. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I suppose we like to try and get one up on each other where we can. But
Right.
yeah.
True. Very true. Do you think that when performing for other magicians, um, you tend to do more close-up work or more mentalism, or does it really matter either way? Just one thing that you can do as a specialty.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really like to stay in one particular area, so just whatever you're comfortable in performing. Yeah, so if I was doing a show for magicians, I don't see there's anything wrong in doing a bit of mentalism and a bit of magic, and um, some people like to
That's
stick
another
rigidly to
point.
one area.
A lot of people say that magic and mentalism should strictly never be interactive.
Mm.
Larry Becker was somebody that I always looked up to that was very, very famous about mixing magic and mentalism in his show. Um, but your diehard mentalists say never do a magic trick, and your diehard magicians say never throw in mentalism.
Mm.
Um, I tend to feel that variety is a good thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think personally, I like to do a bit of variety. But some people's persona is very, I'm a mentalist, that is my power or my gift. That's their persona. Yeah, so some people's character does lean towards one area or the other. And like, I can understand that it would be strange for for, I don't know, say like Pete Turner or Max Maven, for them just to start doing cups and balls, for example.
Right.
It wouldn't suit their character. But for me personally, I like to vary it a little bit.
So basically, if it suits your character, then that's really what's best. It's not. There's no attached um, stigma, or that's the wrong word. No rules or regulations attached to whether or not you should perform or mix the two.
Yeah, I think it's definitely just if it suits you, then go with it.
Hmm. I I think we are just about out of questions now,
Okay.
and I wanted to ask you though if there is anything that you're working on currently that we should be expecting to come out soon,
Um,
or that we need to be looking for.
well, the thing that's just out at the moment is the Casino Con, which is my latest thing. So that's taken quite some time. It's a really good, it's like packet effect, so it doesn't take up much space and it's very strong. You can probably see the performance has been on the link, I think, already. So that's my current thing. Um, yeah, I don't think I've anything. There's nothing else. Oh, my wife won't let me put anything else out just yet because it takes
Uh,
up a lot of time.
do you
um,
do you care for each individual creation you come up with?
Say again, sorry,
Oh,
Laura, I
and how
missed
do
the last bit.
you go about shopping for producers, or getting the attention of a producer when you do have what you think is a solid effect?
Yeah, I think when you start out, it's very easy to go alone because nobody's heard of you. So people are a bit more suspicious, I suppose. So it's definitely just going around the producers that you like their effects. That if you think your effect will fit their style, um, you know, go around magic conventions, around the dealers hall, and show a few people and try and get a few quotes, for example.
So you think it's good that you do a well-produced video, or package something yourself and then take it around, or how do you think it's best to start from that point?
Um, yeah,
I have this idea on my head and on paper. Now, where do I go
yeah.
next?
Like like I said, before you put lots of money into an idea and lots of time and money, you need to know if it's already out there. So you've got to share it around and show experienced people to see if it already exists, because there's no point you going around to a dealer and after spending hundreds of pounds or dollars producing a nice effect for somebody to say, oh, that came out last year, and you didn't know about it. So the first thing is always get other people's opinions and see if it's already out there. Then develop a prototype and show it to people. And if you think you want to go down the route of it being produced and bought out by somebody, then that's probably the best way to go to start off with, I would say, so that you're not putting too much money into it. You've just got, and then your name gets out, and then hopefully after a few years you can start releasing things yourself. So that's what I did with the Casino Con and the Visions from Vegas. I put those out myself. So
then they actually will own the effect, not you. They buy it. They buy the entire idea from you outright.
They do, yeah, and you don't get a lot of money for effects from producers. Sometimes quite often it's more just getting your name out there, and you'll get a few £100 or a few $100 for the effect, and maybe a little bit of stock kind of thing, and that's it. So you got to be happy with that. I think in the beginning.
In other words, you're not going to get rich off of selling your products to other producers.
No.
It would be the wrong reason, I think, to even produce an effect. Be money motivated.
Yeah, you got to be about putting the effect out and sharing it rather than money just being the end goal, because you're going to be disappointed if money's your driving force for things.
Right. Let me ask you one last question, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
And it's kind of a standard one that I always ask everyone I interview. If you could have lunch with one person, one magician, either past or present, who would it be and why?
I think I'd like to have lunch with Jeff McBride. He's such an experienced magician, and he's been quite supportive of my stuff. He's liked Deanna's routines and everything, so it'd be nice to meet him in the flesh. Yeah, he's a bit of a legend, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Well, a lot of a legend.
Yeah. Well, it's been really great talking with you. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and experience and knowledge with the group.
Anytime.
Congratulations again on winning the contest and on your new releases. Hope they go very well for you. We've got all the links posted and we'll look forward to seeing the links to the website that when you and James get finished. I want to let everybody at Full Circle Magic know that next week is Ben Seward, creator and magician, so look out for his flyer and for his information. And again, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you for spending time, and it's been an honor talking to you.
You have a great day.
You too.
Or there now, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.